Wow, so coming off the Eagles bye week, Jalen Hurts just finally said what everyone seemed to be waiting to hear, as after some drama was stirred up about his relationship with Nick Sirianni, Hurts just made some very interesting comments regarding the head coach and kind of revealed the truth about their relationship. Meanwhile, CJ Gardner Johnson also just shut down the drama regarding his teammate Darius Slay and their relationship after Slay's comments on Micah Parsons' podcast. But Isaiah Rodgers has stirred up a little drama of his own. Plus, the Birds saw a ton of key players officially return to practice, and they also seem to already have made some big changes coming out of the bye week, so we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles, and we are getting very close to what is hopefully a get-right game for the Birds as they will face the Cleveland Browns at home in just 3 days, and we got a lot of news to talk about leading into the matchup, as of course the Birds were back out at practice on Wednesday, and things are looking up, as the Eagles are probably the healthiest they've been all season, as despite their injury report being rather long for Wednesday's practice, everybody listed on it besides Nakobe Dean was a full participant, and Dean himself was only limited, so it's not even like he was out of practice. And one of the many guys who was back on Wednesday was the safety Sidney Brown, who's been out ever since January with his ACL tear, so it's definitely great to see him back out there on the practice field after a long and I'm sure very physically and mentally challenging journey back. And head coach Nick Sirianni actually talked about Sid and his return during his presser before Wednesday's practice, and he had some really nice praise for the second-year man.
Yeah, window's open, as you know, and we're going to see how he does and how he looks. Obviously, we feel like he's ready to start going because, you know, our trainers and our doctors have said hey, he's ready, it's time to go. Sidney is, man, as he attacked this with such a positive attitude and just, you talk about a guy who's obsessed with getting better and obsessed with this game of football. That's Sidney, and you know we'll see where he is as we go. So obviously you guys know he's practicing, and we'll see how he looks, and but he's looked good on the side there. But now it's a little different because you're changing directions, you know, and with bodies around and all those different things. So again, we'll see where he is, but excited that he is at least back on that field because you know we got a lot of high hopes for Sidney.
So you certainly gotta love that, and it's just awesome to hear that Sid seems to be really hungry and eager to both return and get better. And as he put it on Instagram, it's time. So we'll see what he's able to do in his return. Honestly, I doubt that he has a big role to start out, but I do expect it to just increase and grow as time goes on. And again, I just cannot wait to see how he performs. Now, some other guys that were back at practice, much to the delight of Eagles fans, were A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, as both of them were back as full participants on Wednesday. Now, in regards to Smitty, the news isn't 100% ideal, as he still has yet to clear concussion protocol officially, and if he can't do that before Sunday, then he will miss that game. But again, it seems unlikely that that will happen, as he still has a few more days to clear protocol ahead of the game so that he can return. He was obviously a full participant Wednesday, so that's definitely a good sign. And the reports earlier this week said that he's expected to be back out there in this game, so we can relax as it seems like Smitty will in fact still return this week along with AJ, Lane, Sid, and others. And along with getting some star players back, the Birds are also expected to make some much needed changes coming off the bye, as after a somewhat rough 2-2 start filled with various issues and coming off a terrible loss to the Buccaneers, it was clear that adjustments had to be made, and Nick Sirianni made it clear that going into the bye that they would examine everything, self-evaluate everything, and make changes as needed. So now after the bye weekend ahead of their matchup with the Browns, Sirianni spoke about the self-scouting that they did during the bye week and what they found they need to change as well as their mindset.
Yeah, you know, obviously you spend a ton of time there. I actually always get so excited for the bye week that it's just, you know, get locked into the room and just sit there and figure out the things you do well, the things you don't do well. And the things that you don't do well, is it something that you can just eliminate, or is it, you know, things that you have to get better at? And so I think generally speaking, it's our, you know, turnover differential that we have some different ways of how we're going to coach a couple things, and some of the tackling things, the different things that how we're going to coach a couple things. But I think the whole general thing of how do you get better can start with, are you hungry to get better? Like, does it drive you? Are you obsessed with it? And then are you humble enough to say, here are the issues and here's what we got to do? And so that, you know, hungry and humble, and, you know, Jay Wright always would say that, and I always thought that was really a good way to say it. The 10,000-foot view, that's how you get better.
You know, the criticism is still definitely warranted, and say what you will about Sirianni, but at least you got to appreciate that he seems to really care a lot about winning and getting better, just going off of what he said there, and I love that mentality, as well as the two areas in need of improvement that he highlighted being the turnovers and tackling, because those two things have definitely been massive problems so far for the Eagles this season, and if they can get those fixed, then that'll bode very, very well for their success moving forward. And it seems like the Eagles have already made some much-needed adjustments coming out of the bye week to try and get these two issues fixed. I mean, for starters, in their first practice of the week on Wednesday, the tackling drills the Eagles went through looked much different than what we're used to seeing, as instead of just using the donut that we typically see, the Eagles actually practiced tackling on, get this, real-life people, which is honestly just funny that this news is noteworthy, but hey, I'm glad it's happening, and it's great to see that Sirianni and the coaches are clearly trying different things to get the tackling problems fixed, so hopefully it pays off. And in regards to the turnovers and the issues both giving the ball away and taking it away, Sirianni went deeper into that, revealing that the players apparently put in a lot of effort during the bye week to fix the turnover issues.
Sure, there's common threads. I won't get into that, but there are definitely common threads that, you got to identify issues and then try to put the guys in positions to fix those issues, whether it's with a drill, whether it's with a play call, and so a lot of good discussion back and forth. I was impressed by the players and their involvement in it, as far as the way, not only did we study it, there were some guys that really buckled down and studied it themselves. So I was just really impressed by that and their interaction back with that. Really impressed. It showed their hunger.
It's definitely very good to hear that the players are super hungry to get the turnover problems fixed, and also that they did everything possible that they could during the bye week to evaluate what's exactly going wrong and just to figure out ways to fix the problem. As obviously, the turnovers have probably been the Eagles' biggest issue during the first 4 weeks of the season, specifically for quarterback Jalen Hurts, so just getting them fixed is going to be absolutely key to the Eagles bouncing back, so we'll see if this bye week of evaluation helps them do that or not. And speaking of Jalen Hurts, he spoke specifically about what they have to do to clean up the turnover issues in his Wednesday press conference, while also going into his bye week and explaining that it might have been the most efficient one he's had in all his years with the Eagles.
Coach Sirianni talked about the details today, and I think that's what it comes down to. From timing to communication, everyone being on the same page on the field in terms of what play is called and how we execute that play. Defining it, alleviating the gray and anything, and saying, hey, this is exactly what, we're doing on this, and, with the talent we have, letting the talent take over when it's time to. Like any other bye week, obviously some time away from the building a little bit, but also really diving into some things, talking to my coaches, and really having great moments with Nick. Well, I think this is probably, I say, one of the most efficient bye weeks I've been a part of this year, my career, just been able to, like I said, share those moments and talk through some things and build.
Definitely awesome to hear Hurts speak about the bye week and the plans to fix the turnover problems, but it was also cool to hear him specifically mention that he and Nick Sirianni had some great moments during the time off as well, as it seems like both gave it their all to fix the problems during the bye week, and they seem to get some things figured out. And I'd also be lying if I didn't say that after all the rumors and reports of a fractured relationship between Hurts and Sirianni, it's just really good to hear Hurts say something good about his head coach. But that wasn't it, as later in the presser, Hurts went deeper into his relationship with Nick Sirianni and their interactions during the bye week, and he expressed a ton of confidence in him.
Well, we're the two leaders of the team, and I'm happy and fortunate that we were able to come together in harmony and have the same goal in mind and trying to get this thing right. I got a ton of confidence in him, a ton of confidence in what he brings and everything he's been able to accomplish, and just continue to press on that. Everybody goes through different moments, everybody experiences adversity, but we've experienced different levels of adversity together, and we're excited for what's to come.
You know what? Maybe I'm delusional, but this kind of makes me want to buy all the way back in. Like, for us to say this is big, again, just because of all the reports speaking of a fractured relationship between Jalen and Nick, and successful football teams need their quarterback and head coach to be on the same page and to have a solid relationship and to be two of the biggest leaders on the football team. And while I didn't fully buy into all the reports and drama surrounding their relationship that were coming out in recent months, to now have Hurts come out publicly and say these good things about his head coach is certainly promising and very important. Now, Now, obviously, they still got to show results and improvement out on the field, and if they don't do that, these comments will ultimately mean nothing. But just assuming Jalen isn't catering to the media here, which I don't think he usually does, this is definitely a very good sign for him and Nick Sirianni's relationship, and I think it kind of reveals a little bit of the truth behind all those reports and rumors. So, again, definitely a huge fan of these comments, and also just I think everything else that we heard coming out of this bye week so far has been really, really promising. Well, almost everything, as it seems one specific Eagles defensive back is unhappy and kind of hoping for a change of scenery. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and more in just a minute here, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of the season, then make sure you subscribe and also really, really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like so you can get to 600 likes on today's video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. Now, as I was saying, of course, the Eagles can't fully escape the negativity and drama, as one Bird's defensive back seems like he could possibly be a little disgruntled now 6 weeks into the season, as cornerback Isaiah Rodgers recently liked multiple comments on Instagram suggesting that he should come back home, meaning going back to the Colts. So this certainly is not ideal or the best look, but also, to be fair, I can't really blame Rodgers for being a little frustrated, as all throughout camp it seemed like he was going to be this team's starting outside corner, and then we got to the season, and similarly to Devin White, they just haven't played him, and Quinyon Mitchell jumped him on the depth chart. And I'm not saying that this was the wrong decision by any means, as Quinyon has been unbelievable to start his rookie season, and arguably one of this team's best defenders. I mean, just look at his stats 3 weeks in a row now against some great wide receivers in Mike Evans, Chris Olave, and Drake London, as he only allowed a total of 5 catches for 47 yards, while also allowing no touchdowns and having 2 pass breakups. So it was definitely the right choice to start Mitchell over Rodgers, but I also understand from Rodgers' perspective that not playing after thinking you were going to must be super, super frustrating, and I definitely also think that Rodgers is a quality player that can produce if given an opportunity, so it sucks that he's not been able to find himself a role on this defense. But that being said, again, these social media antics just are not a good look, and Rodgers should probably know better in my opinion. And it also definitely is not ideal to have a guy in the locker room that's unhappy being here at this point, just based on these things that he did on social media. And obviously, this isn't the only example of an Eagles player going on social media and stirring up a little bit of drama, as of course, Darius Slay was getting absolutely ripped for his antics last week with his tweet after the game, which to be fair, he did apologize for, and also with him going on Cowboys star Micah Parsons' podcast and joking and laughing about a situation involving CJ Gardner Johnson. And again, while Slay said mostly good things and didn't really say anything too bad about him, it just was not the best look for many people due to the fact that Slay is a team captain, and these comments came after a blowout loss where CJ got scored on and with the beef between Micah and CJ at the moment. But CJ himself recently was asked about the whole thing in a press conference on Wednesday, and he shut down all the drama surrounding the situation.
He's a great teammate. No more I can say. He's a captain of our team. We listen to him, we follow him, and just try to hope we get a Super Bowl this year to make sure that he can go out with a bang, being on his last couple of years and how he want to play it. But to take care of our vets and making sure that they know they got a safe haven here.
I love that CJ said what he said here, because not only is it the right thing to say and it just shows maturity and leadership, but also because, I mean, I believe him. I really don't think there really is any tension or beef between CJ and Slay. Obviously, like I said, I don't think what Slay did on that podcast was a good look, and I definitely wasn't a fan of it, but I also don't think he said anything too crazy, and it's nothing that I think would cause any real rift between two guys who have been teammates now for 2 years and seemingly have a good relationship already. So again, definitely good to hear CJ say what he said, and hopefully both him, Slay, and really the whole secondary as a whole can just bounce back and play much better moving forward. And again, this entire team's bounce back hopefully starts this week versus the Cleveland Browns, and of course, I'm going to be covering everything from that, as well as all the other Eagles news throughout this entire season. So again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, hit the notification bell just so you're notified when one of these videos is uploaded and you don't miss it. And also leave a like down below just to show some support if you did enjoy this video. I really would appreciate it, because it really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 600 likes today, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. Again, that also really does help me out a ton. And if you want to watch another video going over some other Eagles news from earlier in the week, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.